Hey, welcome back to Mommy Reboot TV. I'm your host, Jody Agard. Okay, so now is the time to talk about the lovely change and just ask yourself, is it time for a change? So when we set our clocks either back or forward, it's a really good time just to stop and reflect and to go inward for a second and say, what else needs to change in my life? Because that's a part of self-care, is making sure that you are living in alignment with the truth of who you are and making sure that you're doing the things that in heart of hearts you really want to do, and you're not living a life that you feel like you need to or you want to really escape from. So, I have a couple of my bullet points just so I don't forget. Because here's the truth, is that life is happening right now. And what we so often do is put off that change. And it's because we're scared. At the end of the day, we are fearful and we claim that we are stuck. But really, when we have that feeling of feeling stuck and or trapped, usually that's an indication that we are out of alignment with the truth of who we are. Because what we so often do is end up putting our wants and our wishes and our desires on hold. And we buy into this BS belief that says, I have to wait until X, Y, and Z happens. I have to wait until I get married. I have to wait until I get a divorce. I can't change until my kids are older. And we end up being in this perpetual holding pattern. And the bad thing with that is that that's where unhappiness lies. Usually when we're in a holding pattern and it's our own doing, we end up feeling not fulfilled. We end up feeling like there's some kind of void, but we can't really pinpoint what that void is. We end up just feeling just not as happy as we can really, that we know that we deserve to be. And so that's why it's important to look at change, not for changing for anybody else, not waiting for any of that kind of stuff, like trying to get anybody else's approval. This boils down to you and your happiness, because at the end of the day, if there is an area of your life that you're not happy in and you stay stuck in comfort, it's hurting you, and it's hurting you alone. And that's the biggest takeaway here. That's the big thing to really focus on, is that the change within yourself needs to happen because you are not happy, or because you're not feeling as fulfilled as you would really love to be. That's what matters the most. And that is self-care, is, staying true to ourselves and living a life according to our own rules. That really is the essence of self-care. It's not the exterior stuff. It's the inward stuff. So, here's a couple ways that you know that it's time to change. One of which being, if you find yourself complaining about the same things over and over and over in your mind, or to a friend, or to a colleague, or to a coworker, or to a stranger at the grocery store. If you are finding yourself just really unhappy and complaining about the same thing over and over and over again, if you can change it, it's time to change it. The other indication that it's time to change is that you're not happy with one or more area of the following areas: your health, your career, your relationships, and or your finances. If any of those areas are screaming for help and they are just miserable and you're not happy, then it's time to change. But so how do we change? What do we do when it comes to change? The very first thing is just pick one area. What needs the most attention right now? What is it that you can really focus on? Because we don't want to just say, just go and change your whole life. And maybe your whole life really does need to change. But now is not the season for that. Now is the time just to look at one area and be like, what is it that really needs a lot of attention, and focus on that. Maybe it's your failed health. Maybe it's your failing marriage. Maybe it's your kid's school just really needs to change because the teachers just aren't in alignment with who your kid is. Whatever the case is, just focus on one area. The second one is to start small. Again, it's just a matter of taking one baby step that will actually move the needle in the direction of something you really love. That's it. Just one small baby step. It doesn't have to be these big, monstrous, scary steps. It just has to be one small step that you can absolutely 100% do today. The third is embrace discomfort. So here's the truth, is that in order to change, you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because that's the truth, is that change sucks sometimes, and it hurts, and it's uncomfortable, and it's awkward, and it's painful. But it's also very beautiful, and it's very rewarding. And at the end of the day, yes, the change may be scary, but what is worth it to you more? To stay stuck in your current circumstances and still be where you are a year from now, 6 months from now, maybe even 5 years from now? Or is it just a matter of just getting a little uncomfortable and being okay with the uncomfortableness and taking action anyway? And really trusting your vibes and just taking one small action step. Maybe that's research. Maybe it's to make that phone call. Maybe it is to have that really hard conversation that you've been avoiding. But just one tiny baby step that will move the needle a little bit closer to the end result that you want. And then the fourth and final is repeat 1, 2, and 3 daily. That's all it is. It's just repeat. You wake up, you figure out what needs to change, you focus on that, you start small, and you embrace the discomfort, because it's a constant cycle, and we can't wait to feel comfortable. We can't wait for the stars to align. We can't wait for other people to give us permission before we change. We can't wait for everybody else to get on board with our changes before we change. That is up to us, and we have to be the ones on the front line to say, I'm changing because I need to change and I want to change. And I'm not doing it for anybody except for myself. Otherwise, you just stay into this holding pattern like I talked about earlier, and that's just not fun for anybody. And you do yourself a disservice. So even though change is scary, you have to trust your vibes. You have to trust the gut and repivot the thinking of change is the enemy. Make it your friend and just make friends with it. And know that that is the bigger part of yourself that is being called. That little whisper that says, I want this, I want that, I need to change this, I'd like to change this. That's something inside of you to be honored and revered. And you just have to trust that little voice and just take action. And you know that old adage, do it afraid. And that's true. You really have to just get comfortable with being uncomfortable if you really want the change in your life. Whew. Okay. I hope you enjoyed that. And as always, if you thought of a mama who really could use to really, let me start over. If you thought of that mama who could really hear this message, please, please, please send her the link or invite her into the Instagram page, Mommy Reboot. You can follow me in Facebook and join our lovely group of mamas at Mommy Reboot. It's a private group of moms who are just in the self-care game and really figuring out what self-care truly is, because I'm here to tell you, it is not massages, it's not nail appointments. That just doesn't apply always to us mamas. It goes deeper and much bigger than that for us. Okay, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you later.